So word on the street is that Jennifer Hudson could be carrying Common's baby. But didn't she allegedly shut him down when he pulled out a ring last year? Maybe that's exactly what cracked their picture-perfect romance wide open. And if whispers are true, Tiffany Haddish's slick shade just turned nuclear, because fans swear she's the one who exposed Jen's tightly kept secret. Meanwhile, with Jennifer and Common keeping lips sealed, people are buzzing about a breakup mixed with a baby rumor, and honestly, it's pure chaos. Especially when you stack it against Common's not-so-secret hobby of hopping through half of Hollywood while never proving he's in it for real. At this point, someone's got to put the truth on the table.
I was disappointed. I was very disappointed. I was like, oh, okay. Because that's not what you told me, but okay.
Well, Tiffany Haddish just flipped Jennifer Hudson's love life into a three-ring circus, and the internet swears she dropped the one match that set Jen's biggest secret on fire. Because apparently Jennifer might be pregnant with Common's baby. That rumor has been sprinting through every corner of social media. And the wild part? Tiffany's shade always hits a little heavier than casual gossip. Whenever she opens her mouth about Jennifer or Common, fans don't hear jokes. They swear they're hearing receipts. Remember when a fan asked Tiffany if she ever got the necklace Common supposedly gave her to pass along? She clapped back that she never did because he probably handed it straight to Jennifer instead. That petty little moment snowballed into a storm, with half the internet convinced Common was creeping with Jen while he was still booed up with Tiffany. And let's be real, Common has never exactly been Mr. Stability. The man's got a rap sheet of exes longer than a CVS receipt, hopping from woman to woman like a bee on a pollen binge. Tiffany? Oh, she's been holding a special brand of bitterness for Jennifer ever since. Which is why, out of everyone side-eyeing this drama, she's probably the one laughing the loudest. But y'all, let's circle back to these pregnancy whispers, because here's where it gets juicy. This isn't even the first time people swore Jennifer was expecting. Months ago, fans claimed they spotted a baby bump during an Essence Christmas promo shoot. One black form-fitting dress in particular had people convinced, flooding the comments, until the video mysteriously vanished. And one outlet flat out said, "Some speculate Essence pulled other videos at her request," which of course only made the rumor mill spin faster. Add in Jennifer rocking loose, flowy outfits on her talk show lately, and yeah, the speculation refuses to die. But after 8 months with no visible growth, that baby bump might have just been lunch. Still, fans aren't letting go, and Tiffany's latest digs only poured gasoline on the fire. Like, can a woman not have a food belly without the world screaming pregnant? God forbid she gain a little weight. But before diving deeper into Tiffany's fresh shade, let's not forget, she actually dated Common, and sis was all in. Tiffany was head over heels, bragging about quarantining with him during the pandemic, flaunting him on Instagram lives, and even talking marriage. But instead of a ring, she got flowers on her birthday and a pile of excuses when he finally dipped. After the breakup, she admitted it plain and simple. Common's a bee buzzing from flower to flower, never sticking around long enough to build a hive.
He might be the type of person that never really settles with somebody. Maybe he's like he's like a bee going from flower to flower to flower. I don't know.
But here's the kicker. Tiffany wasn't spinning lies. Common really has run through half of Hollywood's A-list, and every single time, he bails the second things start looking serious. Let's run the receipts. Back in the early 2000s, he was with Erykah Badu, his so-called first true love. By his own words, he was crushed when it ended, but Erykah hinted he cheated, which honestly tracks perfectly with the man's resume. Then came Serena Williams, Taraji P. Henson, Angela Rye, even Ava DuVernay. Top-tier women, all of them. Powerhouses, all of them stunners. He bagged them, posed for the red carpet, smiled for the cameras, and then ghosted like clockwork. By the time Tiffany Haddish entered the chat, the pattern was already written in stone. She went all in, gave him her whole heart, took their love public, and even joked she'd rather he propose with an apartment building than a diamond ring. But instead of making it last, Common ran the same tired play. He blamed busy schedules and peaced out. And later, Tiffany made it crystal clear. That excuse wasn't the real reason at all.
He might be the type of person that never really settles with somebody. Maybe he's like he's like a bee going from flower to flower to flower. I don't know.
And then rolled in Jennifer Hudson, the latest in a long line of women who thought they'd be the one to break the cycle. She really believed she might be different, parading him around, gushing, "That man of mine," while he sat on podcasts, calling her one of his greatest blessings. Cute, but the receipts? They don't lie. Common has pulled the same act with the baddest women in Hollywood, and not a single one lasted. So by the time Jennifer entered stage left, fans had already seen this movie play on repeat. What exactly made her think she was special? Spoiler alert, she wasn't. She was just next, which is why Tiffany's shade slices so sharp. When she mocked Jen, it wasn't just bitterness, it was experience. She knows the blueprint because she lived it. And this time, her words didn't sound like a salty clapback. They felt like inside knowledge, like she was holding back more than she let slip. The irony? Well, Tiffany's been hurling digs since the breakup. Common's been out here playing saint, painting himself as the ultimate boyfriend of the century. Men like Common pretend they are awake but are spiritually dead inside because they always go for the shiniest thing. He's not emotionally connected to anyone but himself. On the surface, Common has always packaged himself as the ultimate dream guy. Just last year, he was glowing on a podcast, calling Jennifer Hudson one of my greatest blessings, and bragging about how they were equally yoked. He hyped their romance like it was the grown-up love story he'd been waiting for his entire life. To outsiders, it sounded like wedding bells were practically scheduled, like he was ready to walk her down the aisle the very next morning. But fans? They weren't buying it, and honestly, they had every reason to side-eye. This is the same man who once called Erykah Badu his soulmate, gushed about Serena Williams being his rock, praised Taraji P. Henson as his dream woman, and bragged that Angela Rye's power to the people energy pushed him to grow. Then came Tiffany Haddish, his so-called happy place, until he packed it up with flowers and excuses. Every single woman in his lineup has been framed as his pillar of strength, his everything, his dream girl of the moment. Which begs the question, if they're all his perfect match, then maybe none of them really were. Then maybe the real issue is that Common keeps waking up from these so-called dream romances, and every time it turns into the woman's nightmare. But let's get into that rumored defining moment in his rom-com with Jennifer Hudson. Because if things were already on shaky ground, the proposal whispers only made it messier. Word on the street? Common wanted to lock Jennifer down with a ring, but she wasn't ready to say yes after everything she's endured. And honestly, it tracks. Don't forget, Jennifer was once engaged to WWE star David Otunga for nearly a decade. Yes, y'all. She had a son with him, survived unimaginable family tragedy, and then went through a brutal custody battle where she accused David of manipulation and aggression. That whole ordeal left scars, and it made her cautious about ever rushing into marriage again. According to one friend who leaked to the press, after that engagement crashed and burned, Jennifer Hudson swore off marriage altogether, saying it just wasn't in the cards for her. So when Common allegedly showed up with a proposal, Jennifer pulled back hard. She knew his track record with women. She knew her own scars from failed commitments, and deep down she probably knew better than to gamble her peace on a man like him. But here's the twist. Common's ego has always been the main character. He's the type to use every relationship as a mirror to polish his perfect man image. So imagine him parading Jennifer as his greatest blessing, only to hear a flat-out no. That rejection? Oh, it had to sting. And that sting is exactly why Tiffany's salty digs land like a knockout punch. Because if Jennifer really did turn him down, Tiffany's laughter wasn't just shade, it was a dagger. And while that proposal drama was still floating in the air, the bigger question hit. Why are Jennifer and Common so silent about all of this? No confirmations, no denials, not a single word about the baby whispers or the breakup buzz. Just radio silence. And in Hollywood, silence is never just silence, it's strategy. The less they say, the louder people speculate. And the louder people speculate, the more valuable the story becomes. That hush-hush routine fuels hype, boosts ratings on Jen's talk show, and leaves the door wide open for glossy magazine exclusives if she ever decides to cash in and spill. But here's the snag. Silence might control a brand, but it can't compete when Tiffany Haddish is running her mouth. Her shade is now treated like evidence, and the internet isn't sitting around waiting for Jennifer's carefully drafted press release. If Jennifer doesn't step in soon, the whispers won't just define her relationship. They'll rewrite her reputation. That's where she risks losing the plot of her own story. Meanwhile, the internet did what it does best. Took over the narrative. TikTok threads are stacked with side-by-side shots of Jennifer in loose outfits. Some fans swearing they see a bump, others rolling their eyes and calling it body shaming. And through it all, everyone, yes, even grandma, is roasting Common as the man who just can't commit. How many women he has to run through before everyone realizes the dude isn't about nothing. And at this point, it's basically common knowledge, pun intended, that Common is addicted to the love bombing stage. He thrives on the chase, showers women with grand gestures, and then ghosts when it's time to build something real. Narcissist. But here's the twist. Fans aren't just dragging him anymore. The internet jury has shifted, with some calling out the women themselves, wondering why these powerhouse ladies keep thinking they'll be the ones to fix a man who's clearly stuck in his own cycle. Another theory swirling around? That Common is simply using Jennifer Hudson for clout. Because let's be real, in not a single interview has he ever admitted that he embarrassed himself, while Jen practically broadcasted how deeply she cared. And that imbalance says it all. Either way, the spotlight isn't on Jennifer's music or her talk show anymore. It's on Tiffany's jokes and Common's sad, recycled love story. As for Tiffany Haddish, critics say she should stop tossing shade and focus on reviving her flatlining comedy career. Meanwhile, fans warn Jen to wake up, smell the coffee, and realize Common just might not be her happy ending. Because at the end of the day, Common is exactly what his name says. Common. He shows up for a little bit, not the long haul. Like one night only, because that's all he ever seems to give.